Welcome to the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Jen Kelly, your host today, and I'm joined by Ken, Ian, and Paul. Now, we're talking today about something called the hourglass. And now, it's sort of like the sales funnel, but it has steps that continue after the sale. So, we've got a short explainer video that will catch you up on what the marketing hourglass is. And then the whole episode will resonate a lot better with you. So, the marketing hourglass is a practical way to understand how your customers come to be your customers and what type of marketing and content you can provide at each stage. It will give you a lot of clarity to decide, I guess, a lot of clarity in the marketing madness you may find yourself in. So, the marketing hourglass would really help you with that. So, let's roll the video and get some clarity going. In this podcast episode, we're going to talk a lot about the sales funnel. We're going to talk about something called the marketing hourglass. And we wanted to give a diagram and an explanation and a visual here before we got into the topic of the hourglass in the podcast. So the best way to start to talk about the hourglass is to explain what it's not. Now, the hourglass is not like the sales funnel. As you can see here, so with a quick search for funnel on Adobe Stock, you see all these different sales funnels. And the graphic shows there's a few stops, and then nothing else happens at the end of the funnel. So the funnel seems to stop at the sale or the action. But what the hourglass does is insist that you want more than just a sale. And that doesn't mean 2 sales or 3 sales or 4 sales. I mean, sure, that would be great, but you want more happening after the sale. And so we go to the hourglass. Now, this is a diagram of the marketing hourglass. This is what we want you to have in mind when we talk about the hourglass during this episode. The marketing hourglass was coined by Duct Tape Marketing, so John Jantsch, and it goes like this. So first of all, you'll notice it looks like an hourglass. That's why we call it the hourglass. So it goes through many stages of a customer getting to know your company all the way through to referring your company. So the different stages are know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. So these are the different stages of the hourglass that we'll be talking a lot about during the podcast today. And briefly, know just means a customer, a potential customer, somebody has to know about your brand, your service, your product before they can buy from you. The next stage is like, so they have to like what they're doing or like what they see with your product. They have to trust your company, trust the product, trust the service. Then there's an opportunity to try. And we would encourage all companies, big, small, service, product oriented, to have an offer whereby your potential customer can give a try out. Now, totally understanding how some products and service don't lend to it fully, but there are pieces that could be set up to do that. So we'll talk about that. And then you've got the buy, so you've got the sale. Then you got the repeat. So we're really going for repeat business here. We don't just want one sale from one customer and that's it. We want to be able to sell that customer again and again and make sure that they are happy with what they bought. And then the last stage being the refer stage. So do they get the value out of your product or service enough that they want to refer you to others? So keep this marketing hourglass visual in mind, as today we'll be talking about know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. Great. And with that, let's jump into the hourglass. So before we go into the questions for each of you specifically, just everyone in general, at one point in time, you didn't know about the marketing hourglass, and everybody on this panel here is a small business owner. So could you talk a little bit about what it was like to be introduced to the hourglass and what your first thoughts of it were?
If
Ken,
only
go
life
ahead.
were that simple.
Okay, Paul, go ahead. You first. Go for it.
No, like I said, if only life were that simple. I think it's a good way to conceptualize it, but keep in mind, I'm not going to take a lot of time here, but that the buyer's journey is not linear, as anyone in business knows they bounce around and they'll go from one stage to the next. Sometimes they'll skip stages, sometimes they go backwards, but it's a good thing to keep in mind and conceptualize it. But remember, the buyer's journey is just not that linear.
Yeah. Ken?
And I'm going to contradict that a little bit. It's true that the buyer themselves has control over their journey. I actually think the journey is quite linear, meaning in order for them to come to a buy decision, even though they may fast track steps, from my experience, I find that almost no one skips steps. They just fast track them, right? So, and there's ways to help fast track people through this, but they still have to know you, like you, trust you in order and try in order to buy from you. And sometimes those steps are longer or shorter depending on the type of product or service you're selling and depending on the personality of the buyer. But I actually think they do go through those steps. Their journey may be all wiggly, like there's a great diagram about kind of how they choose their own adventure, but I think it still dissects these different stages throughout the process. Just to share a little bit, because I came out of the corporate world, sales funnels were all the rage, right? Like that's actually how you measured the performance of your sales team and to some essence, the marketing team. So I was on the marketing team. We were integrated with the sales teams in the various corporations I was in. And so it was really a measurement tool. Where I think the marketing hourglass, first of all, Jen, you did a great job explaining kind of how that the bottom half is so powerful in that video. And I know we're going to go deeper into that, but I think that is the failing of the sales funnel, is that in traditional sales and marketing businesses or corporations, the whole focus for the sales team is on getting a prospect to the buy stage. It drips out, they get compensated, they leave, right? Until it's time to re-engage the customer to try to get the next sale. Where the hourglass differs is it's saying, this isn't actually about the sale. This is flipping it on its head and saying, this is about the customer. This is about the relationship you're building with a real person who has real emotions, needs real information in order to help equip them, both emotionally, because we make decisions emotionally and logically. So how are we going to equip them and move them through these stages? And then how are we going to leverage them in order to build our business? Because the sales funnel, in essence, you just got to keep filling up the top of the funnel, right? You're not even focused on, most sales teams would not care about customer service unless it affects their future sales. So this really does change the philosophy that this is customer driven. This is how, what is it that they need, and how as a business can inform and equip them. So I love that. I think it's a great framework. As Paul said, it's just a framework though, right? But it's a very useful tool.
Ken?
I got nothing. No,
You
I'm
got nothing on this.
so
He agrees with everything.
Yeah, he's like, yes, no problem.
a couple of
he
thoughts
said.
here. One is most businesses leave massive amounts of money on the table, and that's because they don't look at the bottom half of the hourglass. The repeat and refer are huge. The other thing that I love about the hourglass is that it thinks about SEO and lead generation both. Sales funnel is all about cramming as many leads into the top of the funnel as you can and getting them to come out the bottom as sales. And that's the mentality that comes from a sales funnel perspective. And while that's important, if you need an SEO component, a search engine optimization component, thinking about things in terms of the hourglass is really critical, because it gives you the guide and the framework to build out your content strategy to align with each of those elements. So I think, it's a great expression of in a simplistic form, in a metaphor that we can all get our brains around, that covers both the lead generation aspect and the SEO aspect. And I think, not every business, and Ian and I disagree on this, but not every business needs SEO. Sometimes they just need leads and they need to put their foot on the gas pedal and they need to go, and that's the priority. Maybe it's because of the size of the business. Maybe it's because of the business situation. But if you are going to do, and look, I think there always probably should be some element of SEO. I'm over making my case there.
Hey,
You're
this is
stirring
double
the
talk.
pot.
And I just want to clear something up. I don't disagree with you, Ken. I take a different stance in saying every business can benefit from SEO.
Well, true.
Because it can.
Some level of
Absolutely.
SEO. Yeah. It's just whether or not they can afford it or not. So anyway, those are my thoughts about the hourglass. I love it. I mean, Ian, you talked about, that you don't really see customers skip. Conceptually, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, they may skip a step or two. You look at Digital Marketer and they've got the customer value journey, but in that framework, Ryan Deiss is very clear that people don't skip more than one stage, because that's like going out on the first date and asking somebody to marry you right away. It may work, but more than likely than not, you might send somebody running away screaming as they go, right? And so, or if you're looking at it from a story brand perspective, where you look at curiosity, enlightenment, commitment, again, there it's, you still don't skip stages. You don't go from, hey, I'm interested in this, to buying it. There are stages that you have to go through. So, but I think duct tape best captures the breadth of that.
Yeah.
With the hourglass.
With the hourglass, yeah. We found it most helpful client side, actually, because frequently clients can get, with all of the marketing stuff out there, right? All of the things we could do, it just really helps them see, what do we use when, and what's appropriate at what stage. So we have found it's given quite a lot of clarity to, okay, now how do we use all this content and what goes where and why. So internally, it's been really helpful.
Yeah, it's a great tool to help manage the overwhelm.
Yeah, or really understanding what is needed where. So just to comment further on going through every stage, it's been interesting because have you guys ever either come across in your own business or a client business, someone that knows about your business or knows about the business, probably likes, probably trusts, has never bought, but will be a case of referrals. Like they're not a customer, but they're always referring to this company. Have you come across that at all?
I'm not sure.
A little bit.
So not a customer, Ken. So they're not a paying customer,
right?
But they know about the business.
Okay.
But they're always referring other people to that business. Like, I've never used them for roofing, but Tom's Roofing is amazing. Like that kind of situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Sorry,
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, like a referral networking group, like a BNI, is like that, right? I mean, it's highly encouraged that you use the services of your other member chapter members. But I mean, from my personal experience, I actually find far more referrals from even those people who have used my services than not. But I do get referrals from people that don't use our services. But the process, even there, it's interesting because a lot of people use that as a referral as an example where the people that are referred don't have to go through the steps and might skip a bunch of steps. And I don't think that's actually true, because I've watched it, I've observed it, not just with my own business, but with our clients and other businesses I know, in that referrals generally don't, if somebody gets referred to a business, they don't really skip the know, like, trust, try, buy. They kind of get a fast track, right? Because somebody who they trust has said, this is a reputable business, you should check them out. but those people still go through, like, that's the no. They just suddenly they know about the business, but they, even if with referrals, like, it's well shown that people check reviews out, they go to the website, they check them out on social media, they're trying to build a case. They're already predisposed to accepting that referral, but I think they still go through the process. That's
Yeah,
my view.
We had a guest on a while back, Virginia Muskies, who talks about referral marketing in great detail. I know, that's an element of the duct tape marketing platform as well. It's interesting because I think this is an example. If you've got a referral partner, they may not have purchased from you, but they are skipping that buy step, but they are still trying you, because if you're going through a process where you have a consultation or a meeting with them to say, yeah, this is a company I'm comfortable being a referral partner for, that's a try kind of scenario. If they go to a regular weekly meeting, networking meeting, they're trying you every single week, and obviously they're knowing and liking you. So, but in this case, they could very well be skipping the buy stage, Ian.
Maybe.
But they're still, yeah.
Or are they just, yeah. Or are they still yet to get there, Ken, because they started at a latter stage?
Could be.
We should duke it out here. This is great. This is great. Okay, so because it is such a stage-driven concept, the purpose of today is to go through each of the stages and really explain them. So, Ian, please describe the no stage and give some examples of marketing tactics and content that would be appropriate at that stage of the hourglass.
For sure. Yeah. I love the no stage. It's where everything starts. It's exciting. Nobody can buy from you. Like, this is just logic, right? Nobody can buy from you unless they know your business exists.
Yeah.
Like, you just, you can't find the buy button or the phone number unless they know you exist. So you have to, it all starts there. And it's an awesome stage because it's kind of like Ken used the metaphor of a dating relationship, right? This is an exciting stage of dating when you're getting to know someone. You catch their eye across a crowded room, the magic happens. That's taking a little too far, but that's what it is in essence with business. Is you're trying to get their attention. It's about not just getting their attention, but then at that stage, how do you keep their attention? So how do you do that? So some marketing activities that are really common at the no stage are referrals. We were talking a little bit about referrals, but referrals are an excellent way to get to know a business and an excellent way for a business to get known. We talked a little bit earlier about SEO, organic search, right? Even including Google Business Profiles, like that's all kind of in the organic search. But when somebody's searching for something and you show up in search results, that's a no, meaning KNOW, not a no, we don't want them. Google Ads, other advertising, including social media advertising, billboard, online display advertising, even traditional marketing channels like direct mail, billboards, newspapers, radio, like that's all really in the no stage. Even a booth at a trade show, right? Unless a business already knows about you and you happen to be at a trade show, boom, there you are. I would even go so far as to say networking events. That's somewhere where you can, someone can get to know you. So some content or types of relationships that are important at this stage are like strategic relationships. Ken talked a little bit about that. But those are the ones that can help refer you. Being part of a business referral network like a BNI or something where it's predisposed to help you get referrals. Having a great elevator pitch, right? Like even stuff like that is the no stage. But then of course, getting into like the bigger marketing elements, having a website, Having a website that, first of all, is SEO optimized. It's got the best practices. So you're going to show up in common search topics that your ideal customers are looking for at the know stage. Blog posts that align with topics they're searching for and are SEO optimized and shared on social. Impactful advertising, right? Like I talked about that ads can be important, but then the content side of that is creating ads that actually are impactful and engaging. They have a call to action that's of interest to your ideal customer. It's going to get them to move. And then oftentimes associated with advertising are lead magnets, meaning things that are going to be enticing to people, like checklists. So if you're looking to sell your home, a how to sell your home checklist, calculators and self-assessments, ebooks, videos, podcasts like this, help businesses get known. But really the bottom line is to be where your prospects are, and be highly visible and offer them real value. And I think if you can figure that out, or even just start down that path with, hey, we're going to do this to get in front of people that are looking for our products or service, and you're consistent, that even that will help pave the way to, testing out the hourglass, and then you can invest more in it as you see success.
Wow. That's a lot there, Paul. It's hard to follow that one, but we got all the song.
I love
and
the
dance
hourglass.
happening.
It's such a great topic. There's so much here.
That's so awesome. Okay, so Paul, so the next stage is like. Did Ian leave you anything to
You got it covered, Ian. You got it. Actually, a lot of what Ian said, I think there's some overlap here in these stages, and a lot of what Ian said actually does apply to the like stage, because someone either knows you exist or they don't. Okay, that's kind of it, And then once they know you exist, then they move into the like stage, or you're trying to move them into the like stage. And that's where a lot of this value added content, you have to give them a reason to come back. And that's where, like Ian talked about, like if you're selling a house, how to sell your house, download an ebook. That's valuable content, but that's also, and I don't want to step on Ken's toes here, but that's moving you into the trust stage. You're offering them valuable content, and so that gives them a reason to like you and to trust you. So I think there's a lot of overlap in these different stages, or to some degree there's some overlap. But yeah, the like stage, I think, is giving them a reason to come back, and that's informational blog post. That's a lot of things that Ian said, valuable content that gives them a reason to come back and helps position you as authority in that space.
Great. And the next step is the trust stage. So it's all fine and dandy for a business to be out there and have customers and whatnot, but how do you make sure that they're going to do the right job for me? So Ken, talk about the trust stage and give some examples of how to win that trust.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts before I really get into that. One is, I think that content done well can serve multiple stages of the hourglass. So Ian talked about a blog post. If that blog post is why people find you in the first place when they're doing a search, when they click on it and they read it, that not only accomplished the like, but it may help to facilitate the like, and even maybe some trust. So, I think it's also important to look at channels. There are different channels that maybe fit the different stages of the hourglass a little bit. So having said that, from a trust perspective, obviously online reviews are critical. On the key review platforms, they help you with the no. Absolutely. I mean, if you're doing a really good job of getting Google reviews or Yelp reviews, it's going to help you show up on those platforms, or even feed the search results of other platforms. And so, from a trust perspective, people see reviews as as important as a referral from a friend or a family member. So from a trust level, online reviews carry a lot of weight. But if you're a technology company or an accountant, where you're not going to have a large volume of reviews, doing case studies, having third party, assessments of products or solutions that you've provided, that you can use that content to say, this company vetted our software and said that we're the top performer, like Gartner. I mean, if you can make the Gartner Magic Quadrant, that's golden, right? So stuff like that is really critical. Let's see. I think video it can be an element of that. Again, I think there are a lot of pieces of content that serve all of these things. Credibility badges and certifications. So if you're a member of a chamber, if you've got a certification in a discipline, that's important for people to have that problem solved. And I think the language on your website, do you talk about solving the problems? I mean, is the wording of your website all about solving the problems that people who are visiting your website have? If that's the case, I think you're getting a strong element of trust there as well, because you're making that connection, especially if you address the internal problem, because that's usually what starts people to say, this is a company I want to do business with. And so addressing the internal problem and the way that you deal with that through content on your website, I think is really key. So there are a lot of different things out there. I think reviews are great. Not every business is going to be wired to have people go write a bunch of reviews, but I'll tell you, if you don't have reviews, you're creating that communication gap, and you're giving somebody an opportunity to make an assessment and a decision about your business. If you have no reviews, that still speaks volume. They're like, nobody cares enough about this business to go write reviews. And one of the things that's interesting is, there have been industries that have been prohibited from getting online reviews, so they don't even try, and therefore they probably don't have any, like financial advisors. You now can. And so now that we're a year into your ability to go get reviews, if you don't have any reviews, I guarantee you some of your competitors have taken action and started to get reviews. Don't let people come to their own conclusions. Guide them. That's the whole purpose of the hourglass, is to help provide a way to guide people through the buyer's journey and give them content that adds and addresses that trust factor.
Great. Well said. Ian, we're moving into the try stage. So would you please describe it and give some examples? And if I could ask you, what would be your advice for a product or service which seems to be too big to parcel off a bit of a try? What would you do? What would you suggest in that case?
Yeah. So let me start off by explaining what the try stage is. It's where clients often get hung up when they're thinking about the stages, because there are businesses that lend themselves, think Krispy Kreme, right? Sampling, right? Mm-hmm. Like that was a try. That's a super easy, very good example of a try. But a roofer, he's not going to do 2 feet of your roof and then go, you like it? Or here's a board. I put shingles on it. Do you like, that's not really a try, but there are, there's other things businesses like that can do. But this stage is really important because it's here where the prospective customer wants to try on your business. They want to feel what it would be like to work with you and buy from you. So I think that's really important. And I think any business can do a try. I think it's just being creative, right? So some things businesses can do at this stage to help them try on, you as a business, are samples, right? If you're a baker, a food company, give them a taste of your wares and they will buy them. Some may not, but that's okay. They weren't your ideal customer anyways. A demo. If you're a software company, this is done everywhere all the time. Demonstrate. You even see this in products like, I can't remember the name of that stuff, but it was the It was like a adhesive thing. The guy would poke a hole in a big jug of water. This was a commercial. It was also done at like home trade shows.
Like
And he'd
Flex
slap-
Seal or something like that?
Yeah, Flex Seal. That's it, Ken. But that's a demo, right? Wow, there's water coming out. There's no water coming out
Right.
now. But I would say for businesses that don't have visible things like that, they don't have edible things, phone consultations, I would say that's a try. Like in our business, guys, like when you pick up the phone, and I stress that part, when you pick up the phone,
Right.
because I can't tell you the number of people I've picked up the phone and they're like, Jeezy, and like we've tried to reach like 4 other agencies before you, and I'm like, well, why? You should have called me first, but that's okay. But you're the only one that picked up the phone, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like that's somebody's calling you. That's a hot lead. So but not just the fact that you pick up the phone, how you express yourself. Are you asking questions? Are you coming across as helpful, caring? What's that saying? People won't care what you do until they know you care, or
So
something.
they
I
won't
didn't even-
remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Seminars are a great try, right? Because you can walk them through. Here's what we've done with other clients. Your question specifically, Jen, case studies. I mean, case studies are a way to, let me try on this business, and you're reading a case study and you're like, oh, their circumstance was similar to mine, and this is how you guys solved it. Trial offers. I mean, you see that all the time. Even in our business, we might give a free assessment. We might do a website checkup, an evaluation, an audit, or even whether it's free or low cost, just to prove value. I would even say your sales process. So yes, you picked up the phone, but then how do you guide someone and help inform them in order to make a smart buying decision? Do you communicate well? Are you thorough? Are you helpful? Are you respectful? I would, because we've all had salespeople that brush us the wrong way, and we're like, I'm not dealing with those people, because it denotes how we're going to be treated once we buy as well. I would even say nurturing activities, right? So what happens after that initial conversation? Again, how are they nurturing me to become a client or a customer? And then Ken said there's a overlap. For sure there is. I would even say testimonials and reviews are another way, just like case studies, of trying it on. So like if you're looking at a dentist and you read you're worried you need a root canal, and you're reading somebody's testimonial about how the root canal, you were in so much pain originally, you went to the dentist, they diagnosed you needing a root canal, you got it, there was no pain involved during the procedure, and there was no pain after, and all your problems are fixed, right? You're like, whoa, I got to go to this guy or gal. So that's
Podcast.
a podcast. Yeah. Like this one,
Like this one.
where we all get along and we're a happy family. And we do, people. We do.
And we
We
and
do,
we
but
all
yeah, you're
we
so
all agree.
we all agree. We got some subliminal messaging, some inside jokes happening here. This is hilarious. But no, it's very true, especially in a service-based business or a consultation type of role. Seeing the personalities, that's very, very helpful for sure. So
Yeah.
hopefully
yeah,
we're making a good impression.
Can I just jump on one point that Ian made? So you talked about free or low cost. So that doesn't mean it's cheap. It means it's low cost in terms of the total solution you might be looking to buy from somebody. So for example, we all do the total online presence audits. That's roughly $1,000, give or take, a couple $100 or whatnot. That's not cheap. But when you're thinking about making an overall marketing investment that could be $50,000, $60,000 a year, it's inexpensive as a way to test somebody and say, yeah, this is a company who gets me. We work well together. Okay, all right, let's take that next step that Paul's going to talk about.
Yeah.
And in that example, Ken, that's a great example, because with that audit, right, the total online presence audit, we're giving value to them obviously, because it's an exchange, but it's the value of that audit grossly is beyond the cost that they're putting in there, because they're getting tangible intelligence about where they stand in the marketplace, as well as recommendations, right? It's a super powerful exchange of value.
Value in advance.
Yeah,
Value in
absolutely.
advance.
Absolutely. Paul, we've got a stage in the hourglass called buy. Talk to us about that stage.
Yeah, this is like the commitment stage. I mean, obviously, if you're selling a $5 widget as opposed to a $30,000 product, that's a different level of commitment. So it can be the most difficult stage, because up until this point, assuming they know, like, trust you, all that stuff, it hasn't cost them anything. Maybe you had a low cost try offer, but it hasn't really cost them that much. But this is like going back to Ian's relationship dating analogy. This is like where you're asking them to marry you, okay? And monogamy can be overrated. Marriage is a leading cause of divorce, but this is where you're asking them to commit and to spend money, and probably a significant amount of money. And this is where testimonials can come into place, and a demo, like Ian said, with the whole the water coming out, and you put your Flex Seal on there and it stops. And this is where you're trying to convince them to make that commitment. And facts can be, like Ken said, different content done well can help at different stages of the journey. And facts can help, like, okay, if I buy this product, what's your warranty? How does your warranty work? How does your return process work? Is it easy to return the product or get a refund on the service? How does that work? If you lay that out, that can help people be more comfortable making that purchase. So email. At this point, hopefully you have their email address, because they've gone through those other stages. So email marketing this is where that would come in. And even after the initial sale, email marketing would be a big part of that. But dedicated blog posts that talk about how your product or service solves a problem can help them make that decision. So yeah, it can be the most difficult part of the journey, because now you're asking them to actually spend real money.
It can also be a place where things fall down a little bit. I'm sure we've all gone through a process where we've gone through the stages to buy, and then all of a sudden, we're shoved off into, a different way to have our money handed over. We have to go talk to legal now, or we have to go get this approved or that approved before we actually buy the thing. And our experience with those departments or those stages are nothing compared to what we just went through in, the marketing hourglass. So making sure the whole buying process, if it's more than just, a credit card transaction, is it easy for the customer to get the invoice from you? Is it like, is that whole stage, like making it easy for them to give over the money? Does that resonate with how their journey has gone with your company so far? So I think we have to be careful about that stage as well, making sure the actual buying process is on brand, is easy, is enjoyable. Just think about, I don't know, maybe it's different for you guys, but so, it's 2018, the last time I bought a car, but everything's great until now you got to sign the papers. And then it's just like, you feel like you're in detention back in high school,
Yeah.
Like, it's not enjoyable, right? Let's just get through this. So.
Well, you've got the tag team wrestlers taking you on.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to say too, that if there's one area I feel like the hourglass, it doesn't, I'm trying to think of the right word. The buy stage, I find, minimizes, in our view, kind of the importance of this. Like, every business understands how important the buy stage is, but there's so much that goes into this in the hourglass, because it's about not just the transaction, it's about how do we as a business reduce or guide through buyer's remorse. how do we deliver the actual service in such a way that they're going to repeat and refer, right? Like there's so much in there that I actually think it's like, maybe we need a bigger box for it or something, just, but I do find it's one of those things that traditionally it never fit into the funnel really, because all you got was the drip out and you're like, woohoo, we got the sale, ring the bell, we're off to the races for a new sale. But I think it's really important because it does take into account after the transaction.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, think about unboxing. If you buy something that you're really excited about, how many times have we bought something and you can't get through the plastic? I mean, even, there's just no way, and so you have to go find your scissors, and, maybe they don't even work right because you can't get the right angle. That's immediately dampening the enthusiasm that you got because somebody made a purchase. That's not smart. Onboarding, I think because you don't want to have somebody say, yeah, I'm excited. We're ready to do this. And then the first week that they're working with you, they're like, what did I get myself into? So I think that's
like marriage.
That's why the previous steps are so important, people.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
Hey, Ken, just about your analogy about the unboxing and can't get in. I remember getting a stocking stuffer one year, and it was this little cutting device that was especially helpful for clamshell, the thermally sealed clamshells that are impossible to get into without cutting yourself and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was for one of those, but it came in a clamshell. That one made me laugh so hard.
Wow. Well, or think about, a company like Apple. I mean, they make it artwork, and they're appealing to their audience because the unboxing sometimes is like, man, this is such a cool package.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't wait to see what this machine does. I mean, it's like they're setting you up, and it's brilliant stuff. It can either be destructive or it can be brilliant. So don't overlook it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Apple is the wow factor. It's that they are a hardware company, and it's about our product is really cool.
And they were kind of the first technology company to really get that, right? Everybody else didn't really care what the box was, or even the communication when you opened the box. It was a manual, and it was horrible, and they changed that, right, to give you a great feeling going in. I love that. It's so good.
Yeah,
absolutely. Ken, we're on the repeat stage. Talk us through that with some examples.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where I think most businesses have the greatest opportunity and the fastest path to generate immediate sales, but only if you capture the data. So one of the very first things I always look at whenever we're working with a new company or client is what we call a database reactivation program. Can we go get their past customers to buy again? And that doesn't mean for them to buy the same thing. It could be you have a new solution or a new product that maybe they don't know about. Let's give them a reason to buy that. The philosophy is you've already achieved the know, like, and trust, and even the try and the buy with them, right? So, I mean, they already know who you are. And if those experiences were great, you've spent a lot of money to make that happen. It's really hard to get yourself found in Google search. It can be very expensive if you're paying for ads to be able to get those people to come to you where they don't know you exist until they know you exist because of those investments that you've made, right? And so the repeat is trying to take advantage of all of that hard work and all of that investment that you've made and get people to say, yeah, I want to do more business with them. It could be an expansion of the scope of the work they're doing with you. For a company like us, it could be, buying a secondary product. So we've talked about Apple. So it's like, okay, I love my iPhone. I'm going to try this Apple Watch out, because you've had a great experience with the iPhone and whatnot. That accelerates the process. But you have to remind people sometimes. You have to stay top of mind. And so you can do that with remarketing. You can do that with email or text message marketing. but you've got to do it. And ideally, if you know what they bought and have an idea of maybe why they bought it, that's going to make your campaigns even that much more effective. So it's most businesses are leaving money on the table because they don't go back and do this. I'll never forget, I was at the Twitter conference in Los Angeles in 2009, and I'm not the type of person that is normally going to get really excited by a Tony Robbins kind of a person. I mean, I respect what he does. I appreciate his knowledge and insight, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm not sure, But it was the last session of the conference. He was supposed to spend a half an hour. He wound up spending 2.5 hours because Twitter was brand new at the time. I mean, it was so cool. It was like nothing. The whole world of marketing completely changed with Twitter, in my opinion. I mean, the whole world changed, in my opinion, because of Twitter and the real time access to information that we never had before. But one of the things that Tony Robbins did say there is, if you got 10% of your current customers to spend 10% more when they buy from you, you get them to buy from you 10% more, and you get 10% new customers. That will rock your world. And so we all, for whatever reason, we want to go to get that 10% new customers, and that's the most expensive customer acquisition process that you can do. Increasing your price or the product value so that price is not even seen as an increase because it's something that's new and different, or getting somebody to come back and buy from you again. Those are the drivers that allow businesses to truly grow. Sure, you can grow if you just spend cold hard cash to go out and get a bunch of brand new customers, but it's a whole lot better, easier, cheaper if you can get them to purchase from you again. And again, I want to stress this: it's not getting them to necessarily buy the same thing that they bought before, although it can be. If you're a restaurant, if you know that they're probably going to buy some of the things that they've already purchased, but you might also want to try to get them to come in, and when they come in, think about buying a brand new product you have on your menu, or a menu item or something like that. So yeah, it's one of my favorite stages because in my mind, it's where the marketing gold is.
Beautiful. Okay, Ian, take us home. We've got the refer stage, last stage of the hourglass.
Yeah. So I think this is a very exciting stage, just like the buy and the repeat, right? Those are super exciting. That's what you've worked so hard to get to. And I think the refer is like that as well. It's where customers refer other prospective customers to you as a business. It creates an ever expanding customer base, right? By encouraging referrals from happy customers. And I think, anybody who's been in business for a little while understands the power of referrals. It speeds you through some of the hourglass. In essence, it helps position your business as a preferred vendor right away, right? Right from the start. It's almost like you've gained the higher ground against your competition, and now it's up to you not to lose the ground, but to substantiate the referral that the person gave you. So some activities you can do are, for sure, we talked about the power of using reviews and displaying reviews and having reviews available. But I think this is the stage where you get the reviews. You ask your customers if they would be willing to, you take your satisfied customers and try to encourage them to leave positive reviews for you, or just leave a review for us, right? And if they're a satisfied customer, it's going to be positive. But I think that is the critical point. You've sold to them, or they've bought from you. Nobody wants to be sold to. They've bought from you. They've become your customer. You've delivered your product or service or dinner or hot tub, whatever it is, and they have used it, and they're like, this is the best thing ever. I want the world to know. And statistics show that 6% of people leave reviews unsolicited. You really have to ask as a business. So this is the time to ask. So reviews are super important. Having a review funnel system where it makes it easy for you where it makes it easy for the customer because it guides them through the process a little bit, because it's not always super easy for, depending on how tech savvy you are in order to know where to leave a review. So it just makes it super easy. You do have to be careful sometimes with this, about how you ask, whether you create any sort of gatekeeper to positive and negative reviews. You shouldn't do that. But even some really good techniques that businesses use, especially like from a coaching standpoint or anything like that, where I've seen it where, on the refer stage, you actually get people in once they've purchased from you to join your Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group just for people that have purchased. It's your tribe, it's your community. And this can actually become a super powerful technique, because you can have a public group and you can have a private group. And so there's lots of examples of how this works and can be very, very powerful. Those are, even from a strategic partner standpoint, we talked about referrals being super important from those guys, right? And so this is, there's a tool that Duct Tape Marketing has called the reverse introduction. I think it's called the reverse perfect introduction.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's a really great tool to use when you're trying to build a relationship with a strategic partner, because it's really all about asking them, how can I refer business to you? And then likewise, there's kind of an obligation for them to do the same to you. And so that's a great tool. Anybody else have any other ideas for the refer stage?
Well, I think the key thing is you need to arm people with what they need to be a referral engine for you, really. And we've talked a little bit about this in the past, but we've got a text message marketing platform that actually has a viral referral element, where every time somebody signs up for into the text club, they get a referral link, and then we gamify the process to get them incentives. It could be discounts, it could be bonuses or things like that, but they're incentivized to want to share out their experience, and it's all trackable. And so I love when you can track all of these things, because now you can see how that investment is performing, and the gamification process is really cool, because it may get somebody who had a great experience, but maybe we all know, most people, even if they have great experiences, they're not going to be inclined to take that action of writing a review or actively making referrals. So if you can find a way to stimulate that process, make it easy for them, remove the obstacles, and arm them with the information and/or the tool set that they need, I think that's great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a great point, Ken, about when you were talking about helping equip them to leave a good review, even just helping them understand that if you can share your experience and your results of your experience, what we did for you, and the results, like even that simple structure can help tremendously frame your reviews to be very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, people buy because they're looking for some kind of a transformation. So if that review or referral, or any of your marketing really can address that transformation of, hey, you've got this problem now, and here's what your life could look like if you invest in our product or solution. I mean, that's really fundamental to marketing.
Yeah. Nice.
Good. I think we did a great job on this hourglass explanation today, guys. It sounds like this is a great place to wrap up. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Please like and share our podcast. Please subscribe to it and help us get the word out. So tell a fellow business owner about the show. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
Toodles.